But this could be Clint's last Bristol race. Y'all need to come.
Why are you saying that? Now you're trying to kick me off. You've talked to me about the voice, moonwalking, stupid on here for 30 minutes, and we ain't told me any racing stuff.
Well, you ain't asked me any racing questions.
Well, what do you mean it could be
Well,
his
I mean, he's
last
obviously
Bristol? Is Bristol going away or is Clint going away?
It's a contract year. The guy's he hasn't decided if he's coming back. He hasn't gotten an offer yet from Stewart-Haas Racing. Like, there's a lot of unknowns for him. I know he told me yesterday. I went up to his farm for a few hours, man. We went and rode around his farm, beautiful piece of property up in North Carolina, and he told me point blank, man, I wanna do this again. And I think the main driving thing behind that, Blake, is how screwed up this year has been for everybody. I mean, obviously you hadn't played a show. We sat around for 2 months. We're going to the racetrack with no fans. He is a people person. Like, Clint Bowyer loves to get amongst the people, and I think that's one of the motivating factors is he wants to win a race, wants to make another playoff, wants to have run a championship, but at the end of the day, man, I think he still wants to be around people and the fans. He doesn't want to go out like this because it's weird for us, man. We're rolling up to Daytona that holds 150,000 people, and we're driving in and we're working 4 hours and we're driving out. Like, we don't see a soul. It's super weird.
Yeah. Well, okay, I agree that this would not be the year for anybody to bow out. You know, it's just like I think we just need to have a mulligan
for sure
and just start over. I tried to start a Twitter campaign to keep Jimmy from retiring on a year like this. I mean, the guy he was screwed no matter what. You know, you can't. He literally had COVID. I mean, it couldn't have been more unfortunate, you know. It just doesn't seem like a year I would want to go out. But at the same time, when you're done, you know, and that's all that should matter. But as far as Clint goes, let me ask you this, because I never ask Clint these questions because I don't want to be that guy. So if it's a contract year with Stewart-Haas, is there a chance that Stewart-Haas moves on? They put somebody else in that car. Would Clint pursue going to another team, or do you think Clint would take that and just go, you know what, I'm not going to beat my head against the wall and knock on doors? Do you think he would walk away?
I think his head is in the place where he 100% wants to come back where he's at. There's not a doubt in his mind where he wants to finish his career and what car he wants to be driving, a 14 car to do that. But if he got the phone call that, you know, hey, Clint, we got another driver coming in. And Blake, now, like, the deciding factor of that, believe it or not, is not necessarily is there a better driver available. It is there a driver available that we think can win races that has money connected to them. And Clint has some sponsorship money that's connected directly to him. So if he were to leave, he would have that opportunity to take it to another team. I would say the odds of him staying there are 90%. And the odds of him not are 10%. And honestly, if he got the call of, Clint, we're moving on, I think he would lean heavily toward going to do TV. Because I think it'd be hard for him to swallow doing 1 year in a new gig, because it almost takes a year to find your way. I mean, we've seen guys like Kevin Harvick, Rodney Childers get together, win races right off the bat. Most of the time, man, that doesn't happen. It takes a little bit to build that chemistry, to get the car right. Clint can't drive the car the same way Harvick can. You can't give him the same setup. And people say all the time, well, Harvick goes to win 6 races. Why ain't your guy winning any races? Well, it's because he needs something different. And until that crew chief finds that, you're not going to – I mean, we go to Darlington. We set the world on fire, win the first 2 stages, had a chance to win. Go to Kentucky, crazy fast. And then the very next week, we're fighting to stay on the lead lap because they're at that track for the first time ever together, and they can't find it. So I've seen your band play and various people – you know, come on stage. Lady A, it didn't matter who walked on. Your band could pick them up and boom, they could jam a cover, even play their own original music. It's not that way here for the most part. The crew chief, driver, engineer, they all have to know what each other need to be able to support each other.
Let me tell you what I take away from what you just said. So you said that Clint wouldn't go to a new race team and race only for 1 year. So you're saying that no matter what, he's only planning to race 1 more year either way.
I'd say if he got a 2-year deal at Stewart-Haas, he would take it. If
he got a 2-year deal at Hendrick, would he take it?
Yes, but I don't think that option's there, because I don't
No, I don't think that option's there. I'm just saying a 2-year deal somewhere else that's a good
I
team.
think if you're looking at a Clint Bowyer, and this is me being just candid, if you're looking at Clint Bowyer, he's a short-term fix for you because of his age and because of where he's at in his life. I'll never forget Elliott Sadler at a plate track. He said to me after the race, I asked myself under caution, why am I doing this? Which means it's time for me to retire. I want to be somewhere else in my life. And I think that phase is coming for Clint at some point in the next, year or two. His kids are getting older. He wants to be home, and obviously going to do TV gives him that opportunity because you only work half the year. But Hendrick's looking for a long-term fix, and they know that's not Clint Bowyer. So I think if he says he's leaving Stewart-Haas, it would take a special opportunity for him to go do it. I don't think he'd do it just to race. And that's the cool part about having worked with Elliott. He never did it just to race. He did it to be at a competitive situation and win, make playoffs, try to win championships. Clint's the same way. He ain't going to do it just go right around.
Well, I hope Tony is watching this and he knows that us fans want to keep Clint in the car. Tony came on my bus about, 4 or 5 years ago. And this is when Clint was driving there was an intermediate team.
Good times.
That he was
driving.
Yeah. I can't remember the name. What was that? It was
it was painful.
15.
H. Scott, it was painful.
That's right. And that would end up being a terrible story altogether. But it was during that time but Clint was already moving to Stewart-Haas, and it was out there and everybody knew it. And I'll never forget that Tony sat there across from me and he said, "Hey man, do me a favor." He said, "Keep my boy's head up," because it was Clint was down.
Terribly down.
But when Clint moved over, and then I think wasn't until the following year, and he won a couple of those races. It's such a momentum-driven sport that you guys are in, and the confidence that a win gives somebody. It just seems like it can turn everything around for a team but for a driver. And I feel like if you win a race, then you start believing in yourself again. And I mean, that's just human nature, And so I've told Clint, I said, I still think your best year is in front of you. I probably sound like a crazy man saying that on something like this. That's such an industry insider conversation, but it wasn't but a few years ago that somebody would have looked at Martin Truex Jr. and said, "Hey man, your best years are in front of you," after he'd had such a long stretch of not such great years, And so I guess it's all in the hands and the mind and heart of the driver. For me, I know that Clint, you can't contain that amount of energy, and I think racing is an outlet for him. And if he feels confident and happy, well, I don't see him wanting to step away from doing something that he's really good at if he's having some success at
He's got to be, and I have to say this, and I say it not trying to be arrogant about it. I've been fortunate to hang around a lot of fun people of all walks of life, right? Do you know anybody more fun than Clint Bowyer to hang out with?
No. And if I was a sponsor looking to get in, Clint Bowyer would be my number one person that I would want to sponsor, because you can put him in any situation. He lights up the room. People love him. He's so animated. He's not controversial, other than I guess Jimmy Johnson's spotter. He's just a great ambassador for anything that he does. I mean, that's the truth about the guy. And I just think he's really important to the sport.
Every time you go to offerpad.com, a beer magically appears in my hand. I need you guys. Go to offerpad.com and get your cash offer on your home today.